So a new topic for today is on Radian mode for angles. So up till now, we have been measuring all our angles in degrees. And degrees are a mode for measuring angles where you take the entire circle, all of this rotation, and you kind of arbitrarily say that this amount of rotation is an amount of 360. So that 1 degree becomes 1/360th of the full rotation. That arbitrary decision to make 1 degree 1/360th part is the oldest continuously used system of measurement on Earth by humans. It probably relates to the fact that one turn of the Earth between morning of one day till morning of the next day was approximately 1/360th, but that 360 is way better for dividing a circle than 365 or 365 and a quarter, because 360 is divisible by so many numbers. So degrees are a great way for dividing up circles, and they're a very common way, and you use degrees in lots of disciplines. They're very common in architecture, in engineering, in physics. We love degrees. So it's not like degrees are bad or less good than radian mode. Radian mode is just a different mode. Radian mode is going to be much more common next year in algebra or in math 3 when you're graphing functions that are measured in degrees or measured in rotation. So when you're graphing, radian mode is far more common. But radian mode is getting introduced right now. And so we're going to pretend that I drew 1 degree here. It's probably more than 1 degree. But that's 1/360th of a circle. So that's 1 degree. And now we're going to talk about the radian mode. So the radian mode is based off of the radius of a circle. So the radius of a circle goes from the center out to any point on the circle. The definition of a circle is that distance. The radius is the same anywhere you go. And a radian is the amount of rotation you get when you move around the circle 1 radius's amount. So this length is a radius. If I draw an arc that is exactly the same length, so this arc is the same length as the radius. Same length as the radius. Then the amount of rotation you have done is 1 radian. So that this angle, this turn, is 1 radian. So a radius is a distance in a circle. You could find the length of the radius. An arc has both a measure and a length. The length of the arc of an angle that was 1 radian would be the same length as the radius. But a radian is a measure of rotation, a turn. It is not a length. So 1 radian is how much I have turned here. And we need to be able to turn radians into degrees and degrees into radians. So how do we do that? Well, we learned that the formula for circumference, well, first of all, we learned that pi was a number. And pi was a number that always is equal to the whole circumference of any circle divided by its diameter. And from there we said that pi times the diameter has to equal the circumference, because that's the definition of pi. And then we said that the diameter is twice as long as one radius. So 2 times pi times a radius would also equal the circumference. So the distance all the way around the circle we know is 360 degrees, and we also know that it's 2 pi times the radius. So one circle is 360 degrees, and because of this definition of pi and therefore this formula for circumference, it must also be 2 pi radians. Radians. Okay, we got a little bit lost there because I was interrupted by a dog. But let's continue. So we were saying one circle is 360 degrees, which is also 2 pi radians. Radians. So those are three different ways of talking about a circle. We could say one revolution, a whole turn of a circle. We could also say 360 degrees. We could also say 2 pi radians. Those would all be equivalent methods of talking about turning all the way around. Well, now that we know that 360 degrees equals 2 pi radians, we can say, if we divide by 2, that pi radians equals 180 degrees. So that means that 1 radian equals 180 degrees divided by pi. And on the other hand, we can start here and say 180 degrees equals pi radians, which means that 1 degree must equal pi over 180 radians. Given that, we can now convert from radians into degrees and degrees into radians. So we said that this was 1 radian. We now know that that's exactly 180 degrees over pi, which is about, let's see, pi is about 3, a little more. 180 divided by 3 is 60. So it's going to be a little less than 60 degrees. So approximately 59 degrees-ish. And over here, 1 degree is equal to pi divided by 180 radians. And pi divided by 180, well, I can't do that one in my head. Let's see. Pi divided by 180 is 0.017 radians. About 0.017 radians. Cool. So that is radian mode.